What's up, my amazing African cucumbers? This is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, and no, that was not a dick reference. It's actually this vivid horned melon that is absolutely gorgeous. Regardless, today on The Daily Grind, we finally get to talk about our petite powerhouse, Miss Titania. We'll be going over some recent changes to her kits, as well as my current build for her. And for all of y'all who want to talk shit about people who play on the simulacrum, don't you worry, I've got some clips of an hour and 30-minute long solo survival that I did on Mott, because when this queen pilots that queen, yeah, we don't play with no peasant builds, okay? Alrighty, so let's kick things off with the changes to her passive. Now, while she has lost the ability to create parkour trampolines, she does keep those bonuses innately for herself, which is of course 25% bonus distance on her rolling as well as her bullet jumps. However, the trampolines have been replaced by something far better. Every time she casts an ability, she actually receives a buff called Upsurge. Now, this also applies to any allies within 15 meters of her, and it's a 4-point health regeneration every second for 20 seconds. Now, as far as I've seen, this doesn't stack, but it's definitely nice to keep everybody topped off. Moving along to her first ability, they've made some nice changes to Spellbind. First and foremost, you can hold down the button to cast it point blank. You no longer have to look at her feet to get yourself targeted in order to either get rid of a status effect or give yourself status effect immunity. The next thing I want to point out is, as you can see, these enemies, they don't necessarily float away. They still have a tiny bit of momentum to them, so they can move a little bit, but they're not moving anywhere near as far as they used to. It used to be a beach ball and they would literally just float away into oblivion, which is nice because, as many of you guys know, these enemies do drop their weapons during Spellbind, and they actually need to run back to them to be able to shoot at you again. However, you know what? I will give a little trade-off for actual usability of it, so it's not interfering with your gameplay when they're all in the ceiling and you're in an exterminate mission and you gotta chase them all down. This way, I think, is definitely a much bigger improvement. Next up, we have Tribute, which has undergone some major quality of life renovations, and let me tell you, it's fucking fantastic. Now, in its previous incarnation, you'd have to find specific enemies in order to get certain buffs. If you wanted Entangle, you'd have to find a heavy. If you wanted Dust, you'd have to find a ranged target. But this time around, it works off of the tap and hold cast system. If you guys don't like the way that this is set up, you can actually go into the options and invert it so you can change the way that it kind of flows. But for me personally, I like to just be able to tap in order to cycle through the different buffs. And then you can go ahead and hold to cast that specific tribute on an enemy, and boom, you've got it on command instead of having to search out specific ones. They've also got two other big changes to this that I absolutely freaking love, is now you can cast it multiple times on the same target. But don't worry, you don't have to cast the same buff on them multiple times. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with Thorns, then we'll grab a little bit of Dust, then we'll do a little bit of Full Moon, then we'll grab Entangle. Oops, they got out of my targeting. But as you can see right here, I was able to collect all 4 buffs off of a single target. But one of the things that you didn't see me do is cast the same buff on that target over and over and over again, because guess what? You no longer have to stack them. You can just get it all at full effect instantaneously. Massively fantastic change. Next on the chopping block is one of my favorite abilities, which of course is Lantern. Now, they didn't need to do too much in order to make this thing powerful. However, they did make one dramatic change. Now, for anybody who's used Miss Titania previously, y'all know that this would basically turn an enemy into a CC beach ball. You'd knock it around, and you know, sometimes it would be in a good place, other times it would just kind of like float up into space, which would render the CC useless because it was out of everybody's area of effect. But as you can see now, they are tethered in place, which means you can knock them around all you like, but they are not going anywhere, which makes this absolutely fantastic for placing these at choke points. You can have up to 4, and if you want to get rid of them, you can just go ahead and hold down the button to explode them all at once. So all in all, it's just one tweak, but it's the tweak that this ability desperately needed. And last but definitely not least is Razorwing. Now, one of the biggest changes I'm actually going to be talking about in the build, because as many of you guys know, I I love me some Ironclad flight. It took Trashiana and turned her back into Titania, the queen of the motherfucking fairies. But let's go ahead and take a look at Razorwing now, because one of the features that they went ahead and added in is the addition of blink. So as you can see on the screen, there is the same cooldown timer that you'll find in Arcwing. So during that time, you won't be able to blink. But if you want to, like, you know, go and do some evasive maneuvers with this, you can reposition around enemies quite well. The other thing that I did want to mention in addition is the fact that you can actually heal your Razorflies by killing enemies. So as you can see right here, well, you probably can't really see it too well, but the Razorflies are able to stay alive a little bit better with that. The other thing that I also wanted to mention is the fact that whenever you cast tributes, your Razorflies can actually pick up the tributes for you, and every tribute you have active will actually grant you bonus Razorflies. So I'm going to cast this one more time in air, kind of like a refresh what we've currently got going on. Ooh, they've taken some aggro, which is quite nice. But as you can see, we're down to 2 Razorflies, but we have all 4 buffs active. So for those of you guys who are unaware, you can actually recast Razorwing faster if you are in mid-air. Now, as you can see, I've refreshed that, and we are back up to 10 Razorflies to take aggression off of you, which is absolutely freaking fantastic. Alrighty, so before we jump into the build, I actually wanted to go ahead and drop in some gameplay footage of a solo survival on mod so that you can see how this performs on higher level enemies. However, I do want to make one big note. After this mission, I actually felt like I needed a little bit more of an offense boost, so I swapped around an Arcane. Initially in the footage, you'll see me use Arcane Victory, which is on headshot kill, you get a 75% chance for 3% health regeneration for 9 seconds. Now, after playing with this setup, I realized, yeah, I don't really need much more defense. In fact, the only reason I left this mission was because I felt like my time to kill was too high. I mean, we are talking about like level 200 plus enemies, so of course the time to kill was going to be high anyway, but I figured if I swapped out Arcane Victory with Arcane Precision, which of course is on headshot 100% chance for 300 damage to pistols for 18 seconds, which of course works with the Dex Pixia, I would have been killing a whole lot faster. So that's the only change that I've actually swapped out with the build since this little testing period. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So straight out of the gate, those of you with a keen eye are probably already aware of the fact that yes, I am using a Tankiana build. Now, for those of you who don't, this consists of using Aerodynamic, which reduces damage by 24% when airborne, and some other shit we really don't care about, and pairing it with either Ironclad Flight or Aviator. Now, for me, Ironclad Flight is literally my lord and savior. It disables vacuum and Razorwing. Listen, we can save that discussion for a completely separate video, but it does reduce damage by 40% while airborne. So pairing those two together really gives her a lot of damage reduction when she is in her Razorwing. Combine that with the fact that she gets bonus evasion and she gets up to 10 Razorflies to pull aggro off of her, and she's also got dust going on at the same time, which reduces enemy accuracy by 50%. And yo, that is a whole lot of survivability. So much so that I actually dropped one of the survivability mods that I usually use with this. We don't even need to toss on any adaptation, nothing crazy like that whatsoever. I felt like one survivability mod and I was good. Now, of course, I did go ahead and use Umbral Vitality and Umbral Intensify because, listen, only the best for our fairy queen. But like I was saying with the footage, I found that I didn't even need to use Arcane Victory in order to keep her topped off, because she also has that passive. Whenever she casts an ability, she gets that little health over time too. So I was like, all right, so she's got a lot of defensiveness going on. Next up, of course, the Umbral Intensify is there to help the damage that she can get from Razorwing, which is absolutely fantastic. But beyond that, she doesn't necessarily need more power strength because, as many of you guys who've been playing Miss Titania for a while are fully aware, all of the buffs from Tribute are not affected by power strength. They're all set. In addition, they're not affected by range either, but I like having a lot of range, mainly because of the fact that I like to go ahead and toss down lanterns to keep enemies off of me. So in addition to all of the other survivability she also has the mesmerize with lantern. So that's the way that I like to play it. Then of course we have prime flow, which pairs quite well with arcane energize, and also great with ironclad flight, because now you can go ahead and manually go in after the duration of energize is off. You can actually go ahead and pick up another one and get that full energy like charge. And then of course streamline, because I'm not gonna be running without efficiency. That's kind of crazy. In addition to that, we also have arcane message and prime continuity, mainly because of the fact that I don't want to be casting what's the other one, lantern, like a million times over. It also helps with the status immunity of Spellbind, so that you can keep that on yourself, and lowers the drain of Razorwing a little bit. So all in all, this is the setup that I have been super fond of. Of course, we are running our Energize and Arcane Precision for that damage buff on Dex Pixia. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, Dex Pixia is a bit of a beast, so I'm not even 100% sure if my setup for it is 100%, but I'm liking it a lot. As you can see, it is a hybrid build. We are running all of the prime crit stuff. We also have what is it called? Viral and Viral. Why did my brain tune out there for a second? And this works absolutely fantastically for me. Like you guys can see in the footage, we are going up against level 200 pluses, but we're able to still take them down pretty quickly. If you paired that with a 300% damage boost that you get from Arcane Precision, those enemies would have been dead a lot quicker, and help with time to kill and all of that kind of stuff. Now lastly, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I don't really use Dewata Prime for anything. So fuck if I know if this build is useful at all, because to me, I didn't even put in another mod for this. Well, I would go ahead and probably put in Organ Shatter. That's probably what I'm thinking, because this is a crit heavy weapon. Listen, I don't fucking know. Maybe Prime Fury, maybe make it a little bit faster. I don't know, because I don't really use the Dewata Prime for legitimately anything. In fact, right now it's got a weird bug where if you because it'll auto zoom you in towards an enemy, you'll kind of dash to them. It makes you dash towards their ankles. I don't think that they've fixed it quite yet, and to be honest with you, I couldn't give a shit if they did, because I wasn't planning on using it anyway. It doesn't necessarily feel the most useful to me, so unless they have some weird synergy that they'll add in with that, I don't know. But that is my current Titania Prime setup. I'm very, very happy with it so far. I might make some tweaks a little bit later, because, and I'm sure that some of you guys are saying, but what about Razorwing Blitz? What about Razorwing Blitz? I'm gonna mention this real quick. I'm probably gonna toss another forma to lock in Ironclad Flight, and then I'll be able to get rid of either Augur Reach or Augur Message. I'll probably drop one of those and toss in Razorwing Blitz. For those of you who are unaware, it is flight speed increased by 25% and fire rate increased by 25% for 8 seconds when using abilities, stacks up to 4 times. Listen, I tried out my older build that used Razorwing Blitz. It was too fast. I don't know if maybe I'm just getting really, really old, but I figure I got a blink. The blink is fine. I don't necessarily need to toss in Razorwing Blitz on top of that. I'll just go ahead and get a little extra range. I'm really not trying to fuck with this. I mean, if we want, we could also toss Razorwing Blitz. There's another Exilus mod. I believe, is it Agility Drift? Yes. You could toss in Agility Drift after I put in Ironclad Flight for extra damage reduction and gives you more evasion too. But I'm happy with this. This is my setup, and I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just getting too old to be able to keep up with Blitz, but I do want to have the option there just in case I feel like putting it in. So, I'm happy with this. You've seen the way that it performs in high end. A couple tweaks here and there I'm sure wouldn't necessarily kill the build, so feel free to get creative with it as you like. Regardless, that's gonna do it for me for now. I'm super duper happy that she is finally back and I don't have to deal with Roomba Wing. But as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. And also don't forget to wash your hands. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!